Today, the government is announcing that Australia will conclude the NATO-led resolute support mission in Afghanistan. Troops will depart Afghanistan in September 2021.
As the Taliban continues to recapture territory and expand its control, the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, says his government is doing what it can to urgently process visa applications from Afghans who worked alongside Australian forces.
It's early August. In just 4 weeks, coalition forces will withdraw from Afghanistan, and the country's on the brink of civil war. For months, I've been tracking the stories of Afghan civilians who were part of Australia's 20-year mission. Now in the firing line of an advancing Taliban, I want to know more about the policy that was meant to protect them. In Western Sydney, I'm meeting 23-year-old Osman. Hi,
Hello,
Osman.
Kelly.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Please come in. Welcome.
Thank you. One of the lucky few to escape the country back in May.
This is the place, our living room. This is Mustafa, my roommate and my former co-worker.
Hi, Mustafa. So you've come from Afghanistan too?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Wow.
nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
I brought my jeans, some t-shirt and some other pants, some other t-shirts, which are right here.
It's not a lot of stuff.
It is not, but I only had 2 hours. Didn't have that much time to bring them all.
2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. I couldn't even have time to get changed. I came with my house clothes directly to the airport.
How did you feel at that airport before you left?
It was really tough to say goodbye, especially to my mom. So it was hard, but they were always telling me that you need to go to a safe place. So your safety is our priority. Because of my employment with the coalition forces and ADF, I had to leave the country as soon as possible.
A former interpreter for the Australian Defence Force, Osman is on the run from the Taliban. His escape is thanks to a special visa issued by the Australian government.
This is the visa. It is, I can say, the paperwork which helped me flee the country.
Saved your life.
Yeah, it saved my life, yeah.
Hundreds of Afghan civilians like Osman signed up to work for the Australian military. From interpreters to cleaners, they took these jobs despite fear of Taliban reprisals. In exchange, the Australian government provided a degree of protection through a visa that would ensure safe passage out.
So the Afghan Lee, Lee stands for Locally Engaged Employees. So the idea of this visa is to help those individuals who are either in direct threats or indirect threats. And they wanted to provide us some protection.
But the problem, these visas can take years to be processed.
So how long did it take for your visa to be processed then, before you got here?
More than 3 years.
What do you think of that?
Basically, it was unacceptable. We were always waiting with our documentations. We were sending some emails back to ask for updates. And we were always informing them of the imminent threats. We were telling that, we are in a greater risk now. The Taliban are coming near the city. We need to leave this country as soon as possible. But we were not hearing anything back.
While Osman starts a new life, many more are stuck waiting for their applications to be processed.
So at this point, the only person that I know who has been left behind is our supervisor for a long time, and I think he's still stuck back home.
In Afghanistan, these contractors live in hiding. I want to find Osman's colleague to understand why he's been left behind. But with travel restrictions in place thanks to COVID-19, I need to enlist help.
Hi, Jordan.
Yeah, I've got you. Hey mate, how are you?
Jordan Bryan is an Australian filmmaker based in Kabul.
And so what's the situation like there at the moment? I mean, how's everybody feeling?
Things are a bit touch and go in the provinces. The US have announced their withdrawal, and since then the Taliban have been making their move. Travel to some of the provinces is a bit more tricky, but Kabul is still fine, yeah.
And what about people who've worked for coalition forces? How are they feeling right now?
I think anybody who's worked with any foreign organisation is extremely on edge because, you know, they're enemy of the Taliban state number one.
I've asked Jordan to help track down Osman's former boss, whose name we've changed for his own safety. We'll call him Tim. They agree to meet in a secret location in Kabul.
It's about 6 or 7 months that I'm hiding myself. I'm changing my residency locations from one district to another. When I go somewhere, I put my eyeglasses, I shave my beard, and I change my profile every 2 weeks. The threat of the Taliban is everywhere. We can say more threat is on the people who are worked with the coalition forces. They think that we are traitors, so they say we are infidels. In the Islam Sharia, if they say he is infidel, they excuse him or they sentence him with a beheading, stoning, or killing.
At this point, there are reports the Taliban are fighting on the outskirts of Kandahar, Afghanistan's second biggest city. Tim says the mood in Kabul is changing.
Nowadays, we are less witnessing the explosions in the Kabul city, but all of the people are in panic because Taliban is coming to the cities. They are really scared of it.
Tim is taking us to the military base where he and Osman used to work. Called Camp Karga, it was crucial to Australia's mission in Afghanistan.
We are at the gate, Jordan. We have lots of explosions in this gate. The Taliban tried to enter to the camp from here.
At Camp Karga, the ADF's goal was to train the Afghan National Army so they could defend the country when the coalition leave.
So this is the entrance of the camp, as you see. Our officers on this side. I'll show you.
So the camp is obviously completely empty, right?
Yeah, nobody is here anymore.
Now, Australia has left, and the Afghan National Army is in charge.
Used to be Australians.
Tim was at the heart of Australia's work here, managing a team of 60 interpreters.
I lead them. I gave them the occupations, duties, what should they do, and all of them left to Australia, except me. This room, this one, all of these officers used to stay our guys, translators. This one, and this is our office.
In these rooms, Tim's team translated manuals and textbooks, interpreting and conveying the ADF's message to their Afghan counterparts.
And now we have nothing here. It's empty.
Despite the implicit trust placed in Tim to keep our troops safe, the Australian government is yet to decide on whether or not they'll return the favour and protect him. With less than 1 month until the US withdraws, Tim's window of opportunity to escape is quickly closing. Tim applied for a leave visa to Australia almost 2 years ago.
This is the first and last email they have got from Australian Defence Ministry. So here says, as an Afghan national, you may be eligible for settlement under this policy. I think I have sent them 32 emails, but no answer from them. I'm the last interpreter who worked in Karga left behind and still waiting for my visa. I just care about my family. I just think about my children's future.
And what will happen if you don't get your visa before the official withdrawal date?
If all of the doors closed for me, I think just one door that I should submit myself or hand over myself to a human smuggling person to take me to somewhere else, like Iran, like Turkey, or some other countries. That's the last chance for me to be alive.
As Tim waits in hiding, the Taliban are quickly advancing. Taking back rural districts, they now control 6 provincial capitals. Kabul, home to more than 4 million people, is also in their gaze.
Yes, mate, did you get the form?
Yeah, I got the form.
The biodata one? So where's your family at the moment? They're still in Uruzgan?
As the clock ticks down to withdrawal, in Queensland, Jason Skanes is desperately trying to assist hundreds of others like Tim, who remain in limbo and at risk.
Last night they taken my father.
Yeah.
The father was 60-year-old. I don't know where they take it. Yeah, please, if you send the email, just save the life, another one.
Yeah. No, I've sent that down to our team as I've marked it as high risk and urgent, mate.
Jason is a former Australian Army captain. After a 19-year military career that included a 10-month deployment to Afghanistan, he founded an organisation called Forsaken Fighters. They help Afghan contractors navigate the complex and often opaque leave visa process.
So there's 2 processes to them gaining a visa here in Australia. The first process is getting certification by the relevant minister, be it Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade or Minister for Defence. Once they get that certification, it's then assisting them through the process of filling out the paperwork to apply for their visa to the Immigration Minister and Home Affairs. And people are stuck in varying degrees of each of those processes.
Aware of lengthy processing delays, Jason has been calling for a review of the visa program for years.
We've seen applications taking 6 and 7 years for those applications to be processed, and individuals and their families who have been deemed at risk of persecution remaining in Afghanistan for 6 or 7 years until the bureaucracy and their applications have been finalised here in Australia. And I just think that is totally unacceptable. We, as a modern Western country, we should be able to process these applications a lot quicker than what we have been.
Australia's special visa program prioritises interpreters, but there are many more contractors who assisted Australia's mission, from guards to site supervisors, even barbers. Wahab worked as a barber for Australian forces at their base in Uruzgan between 2007 and 2013.
خودش خارجی هم سر می تو باردیشت او که می آمد دریشی و کمربند و تفنگچه و سلاح خود میکشید یک طرف میمد باز سر چوکی میشید دستمال به گردنش میکردم کار شروع میکردم.
To do his work, Wahab would come and go from the ADF's military base every day. As a result, he says the Taliban want to kill him. He allegedly received this letter from them, explicitly saying they want to behead his family, set his house on fire, and make him suffer.
چیکار کنم؟ گفت بیرو شو زولی. اما در پدری مر زولی بیرو کرده بود. اولی مر فهمیدی طالبان بنش رفته بود. اولی مر گرفته بود در داده بود خراب کرده بود. اما اولی مر که خراب کرده در داده از اوم عکس دارم.
Wahab already applied for a visa in 2013, but was rejected because the ADF felt he was not at risk. Now on the run, Wahab has reapplied for the visa, but his application is in limbo and time is running out. With lives clearly under threat, I'm trying to understand on what grounds these visas are being rejected. Why are people deemed ineligible or rejected?
Some people have been rejected because they haven't submitted their application for certification within 6 months. So we now have people that may have worked for us in, let's say, 2005 to 2008, and they've been happy to remain in Afghanistan because there was a level of security. But certainly, as the landscape has shifted and the dynamics have changed rapidly in Afghanistan, we have an obligation to help those and assist them where we can.
So Tim's just texted and his visa has been rejected. Here's the email from the Department of Defence, and attached to it should be a letter that formally states the reasons for his rejection. But bizarrely, when you open the letter, it's just a replica of the email that was originally sent. So 5 lines, no reason, and Tim's waited almost 2 years for this. When I asked the Department of Defence why his visa application was rejected, they said they don't comment on individual cases for security reasons, and those who are rejected can apply for a visa under the humanitarian program. Back in Afghanistan, the Taliban complete a sweep of the country's south.
Today, the Taliban captured Herat, Afghanistan's 3rd largest city,
taking 4 more provincial capitals in a lightning offensive, sometimes easily, often brutally.
Well, government forces have now effectively lost most of northern and western Afghanistan.
And then the unthinkable happens.
Taliban forces entered the heart of the Afghan capital, Kabul, today.
A 300,000 strong Afghan army with all the coalition weaponry and training has been defeated in a matter of weeks by an estimated 60,000 Taliban fighters. No one saw this coming. Chaos unfolds at Hamid Karzai International Airport. I start to receive footage from some of those I contacted for this story. Hundreds of people flood the tarmac, trying to flee the oppressive Taliban regime they remember. But with the world looking on, the Taliban present themselves in a different light.
We are assuring the safety of all those who have worked with the United States and Allied forces, whether as interpreters or any other field that they've worked with them.
But those words ring hollow for former ADF contractors still in hiding, like Tim the interpreter and Wahab the barber. And for journalists like Jordan, the landscape has now dramatically shifted. In the days following the Taliban's takeover, the city is eerily quiet.
This used to be a military checkpoint. The city used to have so many military checkpoints at various locations around the city, and now they're all gone. I live in a neighbourhood that doesn't usually have many women in the burqa. It's a bit more of a modern neighbourhood with upper middle class Afghans. But just now on the street, I've seen more women in burqa than ever before, actually.
As shop owners begin removing pictures of women from their windows, Taliban begin removing blast walls.
د جوالانو مو د دې لپاره لري کوو چې د کابل ښاریانو ته د لارې پراخې سي د رش کم سي او د خلک ښه په سړه سینه په سهولت باندې دلته خو الحمدلله نور امنیت راغلی دی مشکل نشته دا خلکو خو د مخکې حکومت خو د ځان د حفاظت لپاره د لارې په مسلمانانو باندې کړي وي مسلمانان په مشکل کې اچولي او موږ دا مشکل حلوو.
Why did you join the Taliban?
دلیل خو امریکا را افغانستان اشغال کې بس دغه دلیل زموږ ملک زموږ حکومت یې راړان کړي زموږ مسلمانان یې ټکوټ کړ.
How do you feel about Australian people?
چې په نظامي شکل خو موږ څوک نه منو نور خو هر چا سره رابطې برابرې ده.
But in case of security,
خدای دې راغلی دی ورته تاسو سره څوک څه مشکل لري.
Across the city, those who fled bloody battles in rural provinces wandered the streets carrying their belongings. The only way out of the country now is Hamid Karzai International Airport. It's 13 days until the US withdraws from Afghanistan, and the Taliban has just taken Kabul. Among the displaced who've made it to the city is Wahab, the barber I've been messaging. I ask Jordan to meet him.
ما میخوایم که امر تو بشینیم باید مصاحبه کورتا بگیریم کم فیلم بگیریم.
Now in hiding at a friend's apartment, Wahab has just escaped intense fighting in Kandahar.
غلام علمی احساس دارم که بسیار به تشویش هستم. همراه فامیل خود، همراه اوضاع، از خانه بیرون بدل نمیتونیم، کار نمیتونیم. میترسیم که کسی ما رو نفهمه که کجاست، کجا نیست، کسی ما رو نبینه.
یه بزنم؟ این؟ بزن؟
His 3-year-old daughter is now traumatized from rocket attacks that landed on their doorstep.
نداره بچه کار نداره شما چرا ترسیدین بچه این بازی این
صدای انفجار و بم و تخت سر راکت ماکر سرش تاثیر کردم.
With no word from the Australian government about his visa application, the family are among hundreds who are now trapped in the city.
چیکار کنیم تا بچه ها در اینجا به کابل باشیم؟ یه وضعیت افغانستان روز به روز خراب میشه. باید که یک فکر کنیم، یک تصمیم بگیریم. خود شما هم که بیرون میرین گوش کنین که اولادم رایش ما نباشه یا کچه و بازه میتور یک جای سودا میرین میگیرین خوبی تو پیچیده و پوت باشین.
دیگه تا چی ماده تو باشین بی خونه یک روزه نه 2 روزه طبقه زندگی ما تو در خطر باشه.
Outside, the Taliban slowly embed themselves into Kabul. And more people try to escape. Crowds amass at the airport's main entrances. America and its allies have started evacuating those eligible.
This was the first of what will be many flights.
But they have to make their own way inside the airport, and the Taliban have begun restricting access. As Australia's evacuation efforts begin, back in Sydney, I haven't received any messages from Wahab or Tim in days, and don't know if they're part of the mayhem at the airport. But then, Tim, the former ADF interpreter, gets in touch. Not long after speaking with Tim, there's more terrifying news.
It was a scene of carnage in Afghanistan after twin explosions near Kabul airport.
People were hurled everywhere, their brains scattered.
Up to 170 people are killed while trying to get into the airport. As images of the devastation filter home, I still cannot get hold of Tim or Wahab. I don't know if they're safe or what options remain for them to escape. Australia has now ended its evacuation mission, but there are other countries still operating flights. In a last-minute push, Jordan, our filmmaker in the country, has decided to help ferry at-risk Afghans past Taliban checkpoints. And it turns out, Wahab is one of them.
There are charter flights and evacuation flights from private organisations, private donors, governments, and I managed to find one and get this gentleman's family on it.
Wahab has narrowly missed the suicide bombing that ripped through other families.
یک شو به دروازه میدان هوایی کابل تیر که نه آب بود نه غذا بود نه تشنه بودی اشتکام تو چیز جایی نبود به سر خاگا و کچرا افتیده بودیم دیگونجی تخام زیاد بود زیاد تشکری میکنیم که میام کاری رمرای مکادگه اما از اون طریقی میدان هوایی نمیتونستیم اونجی بسیاری اشتکار ریزه بود زیر پا میشد اما او شوی که ما اونجی تیر کردیم بسیار با تشویش بودیم و اوی تو احساس میکردیم که دیگه ما هیچیم نمیتونم دیگه ناامید بودم پس آمدم خانه.
With no updates from Australia about his pending visa application, all of Wahab's hopes now lie in boarding a US flight headed for Germany.
خوشحال هستیم بسیار خوشحالی احساس میکنیم جای شکر است که بخیر کارهای ما پیش رفت از این سرگردانی و از این تشویش و خونجگری و از خودیم از فامیلیم.
Hundreds, thousands of Afghans desperately trying to get out of the country, but it is all about lists. If you're not on the list, you cannot get on the bus because you will not get through. I've had to be so militant about keeping people off the buses who are not on the list because they could jeopardise the chances of hundreds of other people trying to get through who are on the list. We're going to give it one last go with another 120 people, I think, and we'll see what happens because the airport has been under attack. Some rockets have been launched. The missile defence system has thwarted a lot of them.
Okay, guys, so there are 3 options for today. Possibility 1, the gates are closed because of the rocket attacks. It's possible the gates don't open. Possibility 2, the gates open, but the Taliban don't let us through. Option 3, everything is perfect and you go to Germany. So, 1, be ready to wait. And 2, be ready to be disappointed. But believe that you're going to Germany. Alright, let's do this, guys, let's do this.
As those on the buses wait for the green light,
The list is coming from airport to you.
many others make a last-ditch effort to join them.
To whom we can apply or where we can contact to put our name on the list as well.
That is the million-dollar question. I don't know, actually. I really don't know.
But I don't know these people. I can't contact them for you.
Anyone found to be not on the list could dash the hopes of over 100 others, including Wahab and his family.
دیگه روزا دیگه احساس خوشی میکنیم که بخیر میریم سلمان میدان هوایی کابل میریم که بدیم این دفعه دویم است که بخیر باز تصمیم گرفتیم که میریم بخیر ان شاء الله کامیاب شیم بخیر تیر شد.
It's the final hours before the US officially withdraws from Afghanistan. 120 at-risk Afghans have been waiting for hours in buses in Kabul, hoping to get through the gates of the airport and onto evacuation flights.
If I could help everybody, I would, but I can't. I'm so sorry.
Then Jordan finally receives news. But it's not what they were hoping.
This is bad. This is real bad. There's a flight. It's probably one of the last flights out of Afghan airspace for a while. I don't know how I'm going to break the news to people. I don't know how they're going to take it. The Americans have closed the gates. It's finished. We have no way to evacuate you from the airport. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, really, we tried. We tried everything that we could. Guys, it's finished. There is no way for us to evacuate you from the airport anymore. Please go home, be safe, try to find your own way, and I really wish you the best of luck. Sorry guys, I'm so sorry.
Without a visa from Australia, Wahab and his family are now likely to join countless others whose only option is to make a dangerous journey by land to neighbouring countries. The international evacuation effort transported more than 120,000 people out of Kabul. Around 4,000 of those were rescued by Australia. There are now countless left behind, whose fate lies in the hands of the Taliban. But I'm left wondering about Tim.
The last time we spoke, you were in Kabul airport. Where are you now?
Yeah, I made it to London. So we are passing our quarantine days in here. So we are happy and we are safe.
So did you hear anything more from the Australian government after you'd arrived in the UK?
They sent me an email that you are eligible to apply to the humanitarian visa as the government announced the new scheme for the Afghanistan people.
So you're still waiting?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that one.
When you think about Afghanistan and look back on the coalition's presence in the country, given where everything is at right now, how do you feel about it?
All of the people are disappointed in Afghanistan. So, especially women. I have a daughter. So I didn't want my daughter live under the control of the Taliban because I want my daughter to become a doctor like her mother. So nowadays we are experiencing very dark days. So we don't have any hope anymore from our country because all of the people are living in the dark. They don't have any hope for the future.
The United Nations says up to 500,000 Afghans, like Tim, could flee by the end of the year. As Australia walks away from 20 years of conflict with the Taliban, the question remains, has it done enough to help others wanting to escape the very same war?